welcome back to Between Two Wings. I'm your host, Emily Norman, and today I'm with Ernie, also known as Fly with Big Ern on social media, YouTube, Instagram. And this is a super exciting episode because we're actually in person.
In person.
For once.
For sure.
We also got to go fly today in his Cirrus. Hopefully we can show some of that footage here later on. But so far, I think we're off to a really good start. So thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to come and talk with us.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So for those who don't know, Ernie is a retired Air Force pilot and currently a captain at Southwest. So yeah, definitely very, very busy.
Yes.
And also a big lover of all things aviation, just doing lots of things in the industry. So we're definitely gonna dive into that. But I think like first and foremost, you created your YouTube channel and your social media persona really to inspire others.
I did. Full disclosure was my daughter was going to an aviation college at the time, and she talked about wanting to quit flying, and I couldn't let her do that because I knew how awesome this career was. So I kind of got inspired to just show her and show her friends, what a life in aviation is about, being an airline pilot, kind of what I do and why I think it's cool. And that's kind of how the YouTube channel formed. And then I jumped on Instagram because I didn't know anything about that. And now I'm on TikTok. So
congratulations.
That just happened just a little bit ago. So,
nice. How's that going?
It's slow.
Yeah. I feel like the TikTok world is a whole other monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. So you're inspiring other people. You're obviously created this YouTube channel, persona, Instagram, now TikTok. And it sounds like that kind of got some interest from your employer, Southwest. What did that progress into?
Yeah, so I've done just some stock footage for them, just pre-flights, walking around the airplane, and I'm happy to do it. And then I started the Flying with Big Ern YouTube channel. I started Instagram, started getting noticed. I wouldn't say I'm a big YouTuber, Instagrammer, but
yeah.
It got noticed, and they were asking if I can help out with a little bit of recruiting because I do recruiting and pilot hiring for us, and I was happy to do that too. So just you just have to take every opportunity that comes in. So that's kind of how that progressed.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one thing we talked about earlier is how, especially in like Air Force days or kind of even early airline days in general, like there was no filming in the cockpit, but there still is no filming in the cockpit.
Correct. While you're flying.
Yeah, while you're flying. But it's, opened up all these doors and we can use it as a tool to inspire people to fly.
Right.
And then recruit them and hopefully, lead to more pilots.
Correct.
Which leads to my kind of next topic of, the pilot shortage is happening.
Right.
Hiring has got to be so crazy for you guys. What does that kind of look like for you at Southwest, as far as trying to turn in new candidates and then also just the actual hiring process?
Yeah, so to your first point about the cameras in the cockpit, one little quick story.
Yeah.
When I first started seeing, people posting like in the T6 and they were doing acro and stuff, it brought me back to a time where I was in the T-37. I brought this disposable camera and I put it in full disclosure, right? I'm airing all my sins to you guys. So I put it in my leg pocket. And I was going on a solo, I was gonna take a hero shot. And that was basically what you did. It didn't go out on social media, but it was just a shot of you in the airplane and all that. So, but you've heard of guys when they're developing the film, you used to take it back in my day, you used to take it back to the store, get it developed. Well, the person developing the film would turn in student pilots that were taking pictures, and they got yanked from pilot training. So I was kind of like, okay, I'll take it and then I'll just keep it I won't develop it until I get out of there. And then when it happened, I was so scared I didn't want to get kicked out. So it was in my pant pocket the entire flight and I never took it out to take a picture. That's how scared they got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways,
I'd like to imagine a bunch of Air Force pilots in a T6, cranking up to like do the next shot and then turning it around and going like that.
That was, So anyways, that was back then. So I'm glad they're able to do it now because it really is a good recruiting tool. And then the second part of your question, just overall hiring in general has been nuts. We keep track of all the airlines that are doing hiring. Every place is having a hard time finding pilots. So it's even more important now to go out and recruit. Things like social media, being on Instagram, being on YouTube. I think companies need to embrace that a little more to definitely get the younger pilots out there to recruit them. So I think it's it's going to be a key piece of recruiting future pilots, because unless you know what we do, I mean, how do you know you want to be a pilot? I mean, it's cool to see airplanes flying, but the actual day-to-day, I think that has a lot of value in it too.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, something you share really well. It's not that, okay, we're just going to go out and fly. Like, this is actually the life that I have and what you could be doing as well as an airline pilot, which is super important. It's also important for people to decide if that's the type of route that they want to go.
For sure.
Like, you have experience outside of the airlines as well. So, there's pros and cons to both. But
there is, yeah. So aviation is such a big, diverse field that, you can be a medical helicopter pilot, you can be a corporate pilot, you can be a fractional pilot, you can be an airline pilot, you can be a cargo pilot. I mean, there's so many avenues that you can explore aviation. Or maybe you have your own business and you just need an airplane to fly you from business meetings or see future clients. I mean, this thing has been awesome in that regard, using it as a business tool. So yeah, just aviation, I think in general, is just such a gift,
So yeah, transitioning into the civilian side, it's way different flying. You're going from more very like mission focused to not leisure flying, but flying passengers from point A to B.
Right.
What was that like?
For us, the biggest thing that I noticed was the amount of support that we got. At least, at Southwest, we have a whole host of team professionals out there in our NOC, our Network Operations Center, that basically track our flight. They plan our flight, they plan our fuel, they plan our loading. You have the weather, everything is sent to you, and you just have to go execute the plan. So I think it's amazing. Every time I go down to the NOC to just take a look around and see the meetings that they go through, see what they're looking at, this behemoth of a company controlling 4,000, 5,000 flights a day, it's pretty eye-opening. So coming from the military, where we had a planning section, and it was like breaking out the map and, hey, I think we should do jet route 2 to get to this point, and they're literally writing it down. It was eye-opening to just see the support that you had, because we didn't really have that flying in the military. It was kind of like you did your own flight planning, or you had a section in your squadron that would do the flight planning or mission planning that we called it, and then go out. So transitioning to it was definitely a lot easier, because now I just focus on the flying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have the support, and then also when it comes to like the type of flying, I'm sure you weren't flying into O'Hare where there's so many different taxiways, or being gone for long trips. What were some of those transitions like? Yeah,
that was actually much better. So in the Air Force, we would fly, especially in the tanker. And the C5, it was a little different, because you would go out for about 14 days and then you're back home for a week or so. That did get old. I do have to admit, but being in the tanker, we would actually go and deploy places. So that took a little bit of getting used to, because coming from, we called it strat air, strategic air, basically FedEx moving cargo to air refueling. Now we have to be, at a location, and sometimes, months at a time.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that was definitely different. Now to get back into the airlines, when you first start out, you're flying 4-day trips, or as a junior captain, you're flying 4-day trips. And then as you get senior, I was just doing 2 days and just out and backs during the day. So I was home every night.
Oh, nice.
And with the family, that's awesome, right?
It's a very different approach to your work-life balance.
It was awesome. But now it's kind of reversed a little bit. Now I'm back onto the 4-day trips, which is fine. So it's definitely it's not 2 weeks. So that's pretty, I enjoy that a little bit more.
For sure. And so one thing I like is that you have all this experience, flying military, flying airlines, but you still find time to get back into the fun GA flying, like what we experienced today. What is it like going from, your day job, back into this Cirrus?
GA has always been super fun for me, just because I can do, within reason, do whatever I want, right? I can, there's a concert in Las Vegas. Hey, let's hop in the airplane and we'll just fly up there. This is like a utility vehicle to me. So, you load your buddies up or load your family up and go somewhere. I think just GA offers so much in terms of, personal travel, business travel. So when I'm flying for Southwest, I'm given a route, just like we talked about, all the support. I got the route to do. I've got, how many passengers we're going to have, all that. Now it's kind of on me, where I get to, plan it on ForeFlight and see how much time it's going to take, plan my weight and balance, and it's just fun. It's just really enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, like today before this flight, like we just met today and we got to go up and fly and go see Sedona and just share experiences. And I think that's another part I love about aviation is that, two people who have never met or have, some things in common can just instantly bond and, share our love and passion for flight.
What was our favorite question? The favorite airport, right?
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite places to fly to or onto? I mean, I feel like there's
so many, but the iconic one is Sedona.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody
That was the first place I flew to when I got here.
The restaurant on here is great, and it's just the scenery is so good. Another good place is Payson. If you haven't been
there for breakfast,
I think the breakfast is fantastic there. I would rate those two as my favorite places to go for breakfast.
For sure.
I think we're all foodies, right?
Yes.
We're like, where's the best place to go eat? Sedona.
Which, by the way, if you're in Arizona, go to Payson for the pies. We've decided that that's a must.
Payson for the pies, The food's good too, but go to Sedona, get some views, and then go get some pies at Payson.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. No, it's so great. And then I think, aviation can fill up your life in so many different ways, whether it be flying for work, working on, your ratings, or just, taking up all your free time to go make food runs. But I think like something you had, expressed with me is that as an airline pilot, you have a lot of downtime.
You do.
And so there's other ways you can, fill that void, I guess, quote unquote, whether it be a business venture or other hobbies. You've stuck within the aviation
I have.
Kind of industry for your business venture, but tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I was in business aviation as I got back to the Air National Guard where I flew KC-135. So I got back into business aviation. Well, actually, it first started there. I was flying Citation 5, Citation 10s. Then I flew at NetJets for 2 years and flew their Hawker. And I just love, I love general aviation. I love that business aviation. And you see what a great tool that can be. I've got a Cirrus. I couldn't imagine what it's like to hop in like a Praetor and go somewhere for business. That would be awesome. So I helped out, got my feet wet in some of the business aspects of business aviation. Worked for a couple of companies, and then now I started my own company called MJets, and we're basically aircraft management. We've just purchased a 135 certificate, business that owned the 135 certificate, so we're merging the two, and we're doing aircraft sales right now. We've got a couple sales in the mix, so it's new, it's exciting.
For sure.
It's great because we are. It's great because we created this, and I don't think. It's a team aspect. It's a team concept behind this. So I'm just kind of coordinating awesome players on the team to hopefully build a really good company. So but you're right, it does take a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another aspect of that as well is that we've seen recently, the past few years, and also in 2008 again, this industry, it can change in an instant. And so, having something else to do as well, can also just be a really good idea sometimes. It
can. I would suggest something outside your career field, but aviation's what I know. I'm passionate about it, so that's why we stuck with aviation management and charter, so in sales. But it was one of those things where you want to create something, and the way to do that is with something that you're passionate about. And aviation is something I'm passionate about, and being an airline pilot, to your point, you have a lot of time off, and starting a business is a great way to fill that time up. So
well, you're definitely doing that. Definitely a very busy person. So you have a lot of experience in we've capped military, business aviation, airlines. You're also really involved in the hiring and recruiting process. So for anyone that's interested in flying, or maybe on the fence about should I make the push to do this as a career path, what's some advice that you would give them?
Yeah, sure. That's probably the most asked question that I get is, especially with older people, they're like, hey, I had a career initially, is it too late for me? And my answer is always no. You're never too old to pursue your dreams. So go out there and get after it. The biggest advice I could give someone starting out is that it is filled with challenges. We talked about it in the airplane.
Yes.
Some of the challenges you have to overcome. Aviation will humble you big time. And it is difficult. It's not easy. And the way to get through it is to persevere and to just not take failure as an option, because you're going to fail. You're going to fail a check ride. You're going to fail at some point in your life. And it's just having that determination that, you know what, I only fail if I don't get back up. I'm going to keep getting up and keep going after it. And then the secret sauce behind all that is definitely having a good attitude.
Yes.
So I think attitude will take you far in this industry.
Definitely, yeah. So that's the advice for someone starting out. And also from your experience, what is advice for someone who's maybe almost at that, minimums, or wants to kind of go towards the airlines? What are some things that they should be keeping in mind?
So seeing a lot of applications that come through. I mean, right now it's a great time to be in the aviation industry. We're hiring like crazy. But you still want to stand out, even though it may be easier than it has been in the past. So some of the things I would say is your logbooks are a reflection of you. So the neater your logbooks are, the better off, the better you present yourself. So, people ask, should I get an electronic logbook? Yes, absolutely, do that. Because that takes away all your accounting errors. That takes away a lot of scribbles in your logbook, flights
Guilty
that weren't.
Of that. I have terrible handwriting.
But so that's one of the big things. So when your application comes through, and if there's anything that can be typed out versus handwritten, I suggest doing that. Get the Adobe program and type it out. It just looks a lot more professional when you sit down from a interviewer and you're at the table and they have your application and everything is neat and filled out. Your logbooks are perfect. Because that's a reflection of you. That tells me whether or not you care enough about this job to put your best foot forward and have everything done. So if you're getting close on hours, I mean, even if you're just starting out, dedication to excellence is not something that you need to start when you're close to applying. Do it right away. But if you are close to applying, definitely put those fine touches on there and have it done.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go home and work on my penmanship.
Yeah, exactly.
You should see my logbook.
Yeah, exactly. I was guilty too. So,
yeah, that's all right. That's all good. Okay, so people are trying to get into flight training. Maybe they've been inspired by one of your videos, or they saw on the airplane one day and they're like, I want to do that. But the big question is, how do I pursue this dream? How do I get all my flight training done?
Yeah.
What are some things that you've seen, or what is some advice you can give as far as what do you do next?
Yeah, so the first thing, whether or not, there's several different avenues, right? You could do the military, you could do a aviation college, you can do an aviation school set up as an airline training school, or you could do the mom and pop. There's several different avenues to do it. But the very first thing I would say is go out and get a intro flight, an introductory flight.
The fun flight.
See if you like it, right? Like go up, go fly. It's probably 15 minutes long or something like that. And just see what it's like. I remember my intro flight. I was hooked. Like I wanted to start the next day. So, but then also research a lot of flight schools, because all flight schools are different. Whether you're doing a mom and pop, whether you're doing like an airline training course, or whether you're doing a university program, go out there and check. There's a lot of aviation programs now, like Aviate, Destination 225. There's, American has their program too. So those are all intertwined with their airline that are sponsoring it. So go check that out. You're going to find something that fits for you, that fits in your personality, that fits for your work. If you're working in there, if you're going to school, if you want a degree, all those have to factor in. And from a recruiting standpoint, there is no one, hey, this is the road to take, right? It's not, military, if you could do that, do that. No, I think it's more what fits you, because we hire from all over the spectrum.
Yeah, I think that's also important, like what fits you, because just because you start Part 61 doesn't mean you have to stay there. Right. You can hop around. And also same with your CFIs. Like if you need different learning styles, like it's all about that. And I think getting into an airplane with someone else, like it's all about communication, and that's only going to further your skills. And I'm sure that's really important at Southwest as well.
That's very important. Correct. Yeah, very important. So just whatever you do, just give it 100%, because it's going to be tough and you're going to fail. But
there'll be good days and bad days.
There's going to be good days and bad days. You're going to have busted check rides. You're going to have this or that. Hopefully not. But I mean, if you do, just learn from it. Those are kind of my favorite interviews, are, hey, what is your biggest failure? And people will say, I busted a check ride, or I busted 2 check rides. And, you know, here's what I learned from it, and here's how I grew from it, and here's what I do now. So, you know, the person that goes through with a perfect, you know, everything perfect, it's hard to it's hard to talk to that, because if you've never failed, how do you know what failure is like, right? How do you know what it tastes like, what it smells like?
It's not always fun.
It's not fun. No, it's not fun. So, yeah.
But hey, at the end of the day, good flight, bad flight, you're still flying an airplane.
Correct.
So
yep. You should always walk away from an airplane, whether it's this one or 73 or whatever, 777, and go, what could I have done better?
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ernie, thank you so much for coming on Between Two Wings, and I'm super excited to see more content on your YouTube channel, Instagram, and now TikTok.
Now TikTok, yeah. I don't know how I got on that. But
It's okay, we all have to eventually, right?
Right, exactly.
And everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this episode Between Two Wings. We'll see you next time.